so proudly we hailed at the twilight's past gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we walked were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular of Osborne singing out, yeah, through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Welcome to Inside the Gamecocks, the morning show. Presented by the Barn Dominion Company and Resto Pros of the Midlands. Part of the Chief Sports Network. Go Gamecocks!
He'll be fire on the mountain.
Consecutive home runs for Carolina.
It is good. It's gone.
He's in. Touchdown. Williams with a throw to the plate.
He's going to score. It's a walk-off.
Touchdown, South Carolina!
All right, greetings and good morning. Welcome aboard and welcome home and welcome to Inside the Gamecocks, the morning show built by the Barn Co., the best builder in our area. We actually talked to them yesterday. Whoever you are that just came on board with the Barn Co., planning to build with them and mention the fact that you heard it here, gracias, amigo. We really appreciate that. That is fantastic. They are one of the nation's best builders for a reason, and we're so glad to partner with them. They build some beautiful homes. It's mine and Carrie's dream, Phil. One day we'll move to the mountains and we'll build a barn and we'll have horses and whatever the hell we want to have. But it'll be in a barn, I can tell you that. So
Right.
We can't thank them enough. We appreciate our friends, of course, at Resto Pros. There when you need them, Resto Pros Midlands SC.com. You know, if something ever happens to the barn, guess who I'm calling? Jeff Sturgis and his team. They'll be there to clean it up. Full boat today. Quick note here: JC is dealing with a death in the family, so there will not be a show today at noon. I was going to try to cover that, but I've got something I got to get to, and so I apologize. I can't do it, but won't be a show today. JC is planning to be back tomorrow. If not, we'll make some accommodations to make sure that we get you more content. The content for this program today is well, shoot, Phil, I think I just printed the wrong thing here. I sure did. Yeah, that's all right.
Content for today looks a lot like yesterday. No.
Don't worry. Yeah, I know who's on the air. It's okay.
That's right. Yeah, we'll get through it.
John Strickland will be here at 10:30. Alex will be here at 11 to preview tonight's basketball game, and we'll talk recruiting in depth with Hale McGranahan at 11:30. So TBS final hour, if you will. That would be the big spur. And got a baseball bulletin coming up here in just a second. A little bit of a deeper dive. We're going to do this on Tuesdays moving forward here. I aptly named it Bradford's Baseball Bulletin. Very humble name, huh?
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's alliterative. You can get away with it.
Yeah, we'll get to that here in a minute. Give you some deeper numbers. We're going to try to do this every week for two reasons. Number one, I'm very blessed to obviously be pretty close with the program, but also have pretty good baseball mind. And I feel like y'all deserve maybe some of that. And I say that very humbly. So we're going to try to do that every week and give you a little snapshot of what the program's doing and what they're not doing. Obviously this weekend, they more good than not. So we'll get to all that here in just a little bit as well. Real quick here, Phil, I do, oftentimes I don't pay enough attention to the Nana Sports chat box, but I want to say hello to Julie because she's in this morning. You and I got to meet Julie on Friday.
That was great.
Yeah, Julie is so sweet. She's here every day. What a great Gamecock fan. And Phil and I were about to walk back upstairs, and she stopped us and said hello and met Clark Cox, who's the real star of the show, one of the hardest working dudes out there. So I want to say hello to Julie. Thank you for stopping us. I'm sure you didn't recognize me. I'm only 5'8", 5'9", depending on what pair of boots I have on, but we got a tall drink of water right there in Mad Dog, so he's easy to spot out. That was very kind.
Yes, yeah. Nice to meet you. And I believe that was your mother too, Julie. But yeah, that was great. It was good. It's always good getting to meet people. And you're right, I stick out like a sore thumb in a crowd, so I'm easy to spot. Yeah. Which is helpful in like a grocery store situation since my wife is only 5'2". So
that's true.
I can be found if ever I'm lost.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, and we don't want you to be lost either. So, don't worry. For anybody wondering, we won't lose Phil. It's all good. Matt said he wants Coach Toman on more often. Don't worry, we're working on that. I was I told Corn Blue on Friday. I said, hey, the big guy told me you're not paying him to be on the air. What are you doing? You got to pay the big guy. He said, I'm not paying him. I said, all right, well, we'll take him. I'm just kidding. Just so everybody knows, we don't have to pay him either. But Coach
go thrifting once a week.
Yeah. Well, he was exactly. Oh man, I was looking through his phone with him on Friday. Yeah, how far away is this from Little Mountain? I said, well, it's about 10 minutes. Yeah, there's a set of golf clubs. I got to go meet this lady and get this set of golf clubs. And anyway, so but he was giving me all kinds of crap at 10 Roof on Saturday night. Why you don't have the big guy on? I said, Coach, I'll have you on. I just got to make sure we have enough time for you because there's no slowing you down. So we'll have Coach on more often. He's kind of into it now. He wants to do it a little bit more, and so we'd be happy to have some fun with him and let him tell some stories. And got another one. I'm not going to say anything about it yet, but another insider in the athletics department who's been around a long time. If anybody's got the stories, he's got them. Now, how many can we put on the air? Probably not many. But he was banging me up this weekend too, wanting to get on, and I said, well, let's do it. So we're going to start to give our fans a little bit more access as much as we can behind the curtain of South Carolina baseball and football and basketball and all that stuff. And I think you'll really enjoy some of that. So if we're gonna be inside the Gamecocks, Phil, let's get inside, and
let's do it.
We're gonna try to do a little bit more of that. Tonight, if you're going to be in the Midlands, we sure hope that you'll make it out to Beckham Field and go watch your undefeated softball team. They are 10-0. They've got North Carolina. It's a 6 o'clock first pitch. This should be a really good contest. Gamecocks looking to go 3-0 versus the ACC here early on. And then they've got the Garnet and Black Invitational this weekend where Boston University, Fordham, and UNLV will be in town, and they will play all three of those opponents. And then it starts to get a little dicey. They got to go on the road. Matter of fact, their first road trip, believe it or not, is to Charlotte to take on Ashley Chastain's former club. And then after that, they'll head to Durham against a top 10 Duke Blue Devils team. They'll come home for Youngstown State, and then LOSEC play, Norman, Oklahoma. Here we come. And Quincy Lilio will make a return to her former squad. Quincy Lilio is hitting 4,000 here early in the season. She's been so we'll get an inside look at what's going right for Quincy Lilio, because on Thursday, Ashley Chastain is going to join us, and hopefully she'll have some good stuff to talk about following a win tonight. If that caught you off guard for some reason and you're wondering, well, isn't today Tuesday? You are correct, but they moved it up because of the weather, which we'll have to keep an eye on tomorrow night as well, Phil, as Queens College is scheduled to be in town to take on the baseball team. But we all know that the Midlands could be looking at some snow again, or some sleet, or some ice, or whatever the case is.
Yeah. That's all right.
You got to be kidding me.
I know. Well, it is February. That's the other thing. It was like, I'm tired of the cold, but then it's still only February. So what are you going to do? Get out there and play in it if it happens.
Well, that's a good point.
I don't know. Of course, my wife just put in for an entire week off of work because she's sick with COVID. Yeah. But I wonder if she'll get those personal days or those sick days back if they cancel school. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but I do know this. Apparently, last week alone, the flu.
Oh my goodness!
There's like 3,000 deaths attributed to the flu across the country, and I'm just crossing my fingers here because I shook a lot of hands and gave a lot of hugs.
I know.
This weekend, so I'm sitting here trying to figure out which one of those SOBs was sick and didn't tell anybody about it.
I'm going to find one of y'all. No.
Yeah. And by the way, do you remember on Friday when we were talking to Coach Tanner, and I asked him, does he remember, had they gone to a game 2 in the O2 series versus Texas, who would have started? And he said, I can't remember, because Raul got the start in the national championship game. And of course, the following year in 2003 is when they flipped it to a 3-game series. So I was talking to Bondo on Saturday, Stephen Bondren. And I said, Bondo, do you remember? It couldn't have been him, because he had just pitched against Clemson. He mowed the Tigers down in Omaha in the game that they won. I think it was 10-2. And I said, it wasn't you. And he said, no, it wasn't me. I said, well, who was it? He goes, man, I can't remember either. I said, well, look here. If you can't remember, and Tanner can't remember, and Toman can't remember, then how the hell were we going to win the series had there been one? Because for about 23 years, I've been under the assumption that we were teed up and ready to go in game 2. And now I can't remember. It might have been David Marchbanks. David Marchbanks might have been the guy who would have gotten the call. But Texas, of course, they were, they had some rest. And so in Houston Street came in and threw all those innings. So like Coach Tanner said, he would have factored into one of the games, maybe 2, but certainly not 3. But nobody can remember. So we're going to go with David Marchbanks. That's just going to be our final call on that. I just told Bondo, I said, I got to come up with something here to make this story come to an end. So let's just give it to somebody. So we're going to give the ball to Marchbanks in a fake game 2 of the O2 World Series.
Yes.
Go get him, David.
Go get him.
Give him hell.
I can
out
see
there.
it now. He was going to have a hell of a night too. Damn, it's a shame.
Yeah, he was. I'll tell you what, man. He was teed up and ready to go.
That's right.
He was teed up and ready to go. So is South Carolina. They got a 4:00 first pitch in Rock Hill today against the Winthrop Eagles. That's a 3:45 airtime. Cade Crenshaw and Coach Lake will have that one. That is an ESPN Plus broadcast. So if you're going to watch it, it is not the SEC Network Plus. That is an ESPN Plus. I guess it's the same streaming package. I don't know.
I see that on the schedule, right? And I'm like, well, what is the difference? Because I go to the same place to watch all of it.
Well, I think
one of the ESPN app, right? And it's all there.
I think ESPN Plus, you have to have a subscription to ESPN Plus. SEC Network Plus, I believe, if you have a TV or a streaming subscription like YouTube TV or something like that, it carries over.
That's right. It comes with your package. Yes, you're
Yeah.
right. I believe you are correct in that.
Pretty sure that's what it is.
Yeah.
So if you try to pull it up and you can't, and you go, well, I've got YouTube TV or I've got Hulu or whatever it is, you have to be an ESPN Plus subscriber as well, I think.
Yeah. That's why we just bundle all that. Of course, I got 2 kids at home, so it makes sense to have the Disney bundle.
Well, I just want to go back to cable because I was adding up all of our streaming services the other day.
I did the same thing the other day. I'm like, oh, we're right there at it. We're right back at it.
Well, and here's the reason why I had to do that, Phil. I got an email on my phone that was letting me know that my Amazon Music subscription is about to renew. Well, I don't have Amazon Music.
Right, Amazon Music.
And so I have Apple Music, but I don't subscribe to Amazon Music. And I thought, well, okay, how do you figure this out? So you have to go to your Amazon Prime account and it shows you all of your, whatever you would have subscribed to. Well, had to have a hard conversation with my almost 6-year-olds because we have Amazon Prime, Amazon Fire TVs. And so, when they're in the movie room watching movies, they can navigate their way through the things that we have. But whenever they click on something we don't, they just buy it.
They just sign up.
Yeah. They just, are you sure you'd like to subscribe? Hell yeah. I'm sure,
let's go. I want to watch it.
Dude, we got all kinds of stuff going on. There's like $50 worth of subscriptions every month that I didn't know about. I mean, things I've never even heard of, dude. I was like, Riley, Hannah, get over here.
I know.
And of course
through that with my eldest, I don't know. That one was a little different because it was Robux, right? From Roblox or whatever. And I see this random charge of like $40 pop up. And I'm like, whoa, what the hell's a Robux?
What's going on there?
What is going on? Yeah. But my 8-year-old, she's like that too. She was like, well, it said free trial. I'm like, yeah, honey, but you got to let me know. If you're signing up for something free, because I had to cancel it before the trial if we don't want it. I'm like, what did you want to see?
Right.
I don't know. I didn't even watch it.
Well,
great.
Riley and Anna just they're just they're teeing me up. So I told them, I said, if you do this again, I'm gonna pull the money out of your piggy bank. That got their attention real quick.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'm making you pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, we've got that cleaned up and we're moving forward. But anyways, I added the rest of it up and I was like, give me the cable back, or I just pay the $120 a month. I'd be happy to do that again. This is getting insane. Yeah. So anyways, all right. We got Strick coming up here in about 12 minutes, but let's get into the first edition brought to you by our friends at Palm Casual of Bradford's Baseball Bulletin.
Let's take a deep dive into Carolina baseball with Bradford's Baseball Bulletin, presented by Palm Casual Outdoor Patio Furniture. Visit palmcasual.com and make your outdoor area the best it can be, just like the Gamecocks.
Yeah, we all know South Carolina is 3-0 coming off of the sweep of Sacred Heart this weekend. I do have to say this. And I didn't find this out until Friday, that Sacred Heart had not actually been on the field for a full practice until Thursday.
Wow.
Yeah. They were designing 90-foot base paths inside of an indoor facility up there in Connecticut. Fairfield, Connecticut is where they're located. Snow and ice and all the stuff they deal with up there. So, to a point, I actually did feel a little bit bad about them or about that. And that's normal for a lot of northern teams. We talked to Coach Kingston about that when he was with Illinois State. And when Maneri mentioned that to me, I said, well, when you were at Notre Dame, I bet you felt the effects of it. He said, oh, we did. Now, we had more money being Notre Dame than some of these smaller schools. But, it's tough. It's tough. So, you go back to last year, too, with Sacred Heart. This is a better team than they were last year when they finished 35-23. But the caveat in that 35-23, Phil, is that they had opened the 24 season 0-8. So they finished the year by winning. They won the league. They finished the year 35-15. That's pretty good. So that just goes to show you, the more that they play, the better that they're going to get. Certainly wasn't their weekend. South Carolina, of course, sweeps them and outscores them 27-3 in doing so. One of those was a shortened 7-inning game. Also something I learned this weekend, Pulmonary. So in the SEC, you play via a 10-run rule, right? That is now in effect in SEC play. And I will make sure that I double confirm this, but I've got it on pretty good. I haven't been able to talk to Coach Maneri or Ken about it. But my understanding is that Maneri, every contract that was signed for this year, non-conference included, he made sure we're going to play by SEC rules. So you don't have to do that in non-conference. You don't have to acknowledge a 10-run rule if you don't want to. Maneri said, no, thanks. We're going to play by SEC rules in the non-con as well. So that's why the 10-run rule was in effect this weekend. It will be moving forward if they're playing at Founders Park. You don't, going to Winthrop tonight, that might not be the rule. I don't know what it is, but that's just an interesting little deal there. So
Hey,
pitching, of course, was the story this weekend, Phil. Back-to-back shutouts. Here's a little nugget that has not been passed along by anybody that I'm aware of. I haven't seen it in any notes. Do you know the last time that the Gamecocks threw back-to-back shutouts?
In a weekend series or just
at all?
Back-to-back
At all.
Man. No,
Two games in a row, regardless of when they were played back-to-back, they pitched shutouts.
No, I asked for qualification as if that was going to narrow down my search. But no, I am unaware. What
It's
was
been
the last time?
almost 4 years.
No way, really?
Yeah, March
Wow.
6th and 7th, 2021 versus Mercer. Saturday, Sunday of that 3-game series, 4-0, 1-0.
Man,
Not bad.
No, not bad at all. How great it was that pitching kind of dominated this weekend, right? Because that was one of the bigger question marks heading into it is, do you have an arm? Do you have this? Do you have that? And I mean, from what we saw, you feel real good moving forward with what you got on the weekends.
Look, you got to keep things in perspective. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
This was Sacred Heart this weekend. This wasn't, some SEC program or ACC program or Big 12 program or something like that. I totally understand it. However, I always, these northern teams that come down early in the year, they've done, for as much as they have not been on the field, they hit. That's what they do. They hit. And it's a team that returned 5 of the top 6 hitters. They stole a ton of bases. And Carolina shut that down this weekend, only giving up 3 runs overall. Here's why, and I'm really going to focus on the pitching today in our Bradford's baseball bulletin. I can remove the last name if you'd like me to. SQ on Friday, 74 pitches, 51 strikes. That is a 69% strike to ball ratio. Becker on Saturday, actually, he had 30 pitches left. Yeah, he was on a 90 pitch count, 85-90. He only threw 60, but 44 of those were strikes. And and that's 73%. Jake McCoy on Sunday, in what they were worried about with him was hitting the barrier, hitting the wall. And Coach Maneri said, hey, look, he has been in scrimmages. He gets to 4. Can he get to 5? Talking about innings here. Kind of when he gets into trouble, can he get out of trouble? Not a lot of trouble when you don't give up any hits and just 1 walk in 5 innings. So clearly, he was pretty good. But of the 78 pitches he threw, 48 of those are strikes at 62%. You want to get that up. You're living in the danger zone there when it comes to SEC play. Get around 60, 62, 63%, certainly less than that. You're in SEC play, you're gonna start getting a lot of trouble. Throwing too many strikes can get you in trouble too, but they would rather that than putting guys on. Carolina this weekend, just 8 free bags. Dylan Eskew hit 4. and then they issued 4 total walks between their entire staff. SQ will hit a guy. He's got a lot of run and a lot of movement on his pitches, but he was trying to establish the inner half of the plate. I made that comment to you in the booth on Friday. That is, I don't want to say new, but it is much more emphasized right now under Terry Rooney and Coach Gordon and Coach Maneri. We're going to throw to the inner half of the plate. If we hit a guy, then we got to find a way to get out of a jam. We're not going to give you a free pass because you hit a guy. That doesn't mean you just get to stop throwing on the inside corner. If you can't do that, then you're going to get out of there, and the next guy's going to come pitch. And so he was able to work through that. They're going to continue to work on that. But overall, 67% strikes from the starting rotation. That's where I'm kind of focusing this weekend. Really, really phenomenal. And let me give you one other really, really, truly unbelievable note. This is just a killer stat. This is a killer stat. I guarantee you this is something they were focusing on yesterday when they were meeting as coaches at Founders Park. 25 leadoff hitters over 3 games for Sacred Heart. 25 to lead off 25 innings, of course. 4 of them reached base.
Wow.
Carolina's pitchers, all of them, starters, bullpen guys, only 4 of 25 reached first base as the leadoff guy in that inning. That is how you stay out of trouble right there, my friends. And so that's a big, big deal. Congratulations to the pitching staff at South Carolina. A wonderful weekend for them. Like I said, much more focused on the pitching side of things this weekend. I do think that, offensively they had some nice moments. They did manufacture a bunch of runs. But certainly that's an offense that needs to just continue to improve. Hopefully they can do that today. In the SEC and the new D1 baseball poll, A&M at 1, LSU at 3, Tennessee is at 4. Carolina's got all of them on the schedule, and they've got number 5 and 6. Arkansas and the North Carolina Tar Heels in a midweek up in Charlotte. The Georgia Bulldogs check in at number 8. Florida is number 10. Carolina's got them as well. Clemson sits at number 14 this week. They're not in the SEC. I know that, but they are an opponent, and they're coming up here in just a couple of weekends. Clemson drubbed in their final game out in Texas. Ole Miss beat the brakes off of them by 10 runs. Vanderbilt at 15, Texas at 16, Mississippi State. Carolina will head to the Dude this year. They're at number 18. That's the SEC in the top 25, including common opponents. One other quick note here, moving one spot, our friend Skylar Meade and the Troy Trojans. They're at number 24 in this week's D1 baseball poll. And that, some under the rug, behind the curtain, news, notes, and nuggets in the baseball bulletin, brought to you by Palm Casual, presenting our coverage of Gamecock baseball this season alongside our friends at Resto Pros. We'll hit a timeout. We'll get John Strickland in, followed by Alex Jones and Hale McGranahan when we return.
The Aventon Adventure 2 takes the same basic design as the original Aventon Adventure, making it an adventure bike designed to take you places that typical roads just don't reach, allowing you to ride whatever terrain you want based on your whims of the day. Look at what you're getting: hydraulic disc brakes, torque sensor for responsive pedal assist, great LED lighting, suspension, a beautifully welded frame with excellent build quality, included rear rack, included fenders. The list just keeps going on.
Visit electricbikescharleston.com for more.
When you bundle home and auto, good things can happen. You get a local agent who can help you choose the right coverage for you at a price that's right for you.
Call State Farm agent Tony Pope today.
Hey Gamecock Nation, my name is Kyle, longtime listener of the show and avid golfer. I wanted to take my game to the next level, but let's face it, golf is a hard game to learn on your own. I heard the ad from McKellar Enterprises and reached out to the owner and former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor. In just 2 months of working with Meredith, I shot my lowest round ever, and I've never felt more confident in my golf game. So if you're looking to take your game to the next level, go to McKellarEnterprises.org and book your lesson today with former Gamecock golfer, Meredith Taylor. Go Gamecocks.
Think about that old ride of yours. The carpools, the road trips, the heavy hauls, date nights, and the dings and the dents and the sticky spills and cracker crumbs, and that smell that really never goes away. Do you really want to start the new year in the same old ride? Or is it time for a fresh start? Now's the time for incredible New Year's savings at Love Chevrolet on the entire lineup of award-winning vehicles. Love has more new Chevys on the lot than any other dealer in the Midlands, in the color, style, features you've been looking for. With New Year's savings and Love's famous low price guarantee, your new ride in 25 will be invigorating, exhilarating, and affordable too. South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer, I-26 at Harbison, and online at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
That's the power of love. Love Chevy.
When you bundle home and auto, good things can happen. You get a local agent who can help you choose the right coverage for you at a price that's right for you.
Call State Farm agent Tony Pope today.
Mike here for my good friend Troy Branham of Golden Gate Mortgage. Let's face it, it's been a rough go for mortgage rates the last couple of years. And now more than ever, you need someone on your side to get you the very best possible rate on a new mortgage or a refi. That's where Troy comes in. 27 years of experience working for you. Conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, renovation, rehabilitation loans, all doable with my man Troy Branham of Golden Gate Mortgage. And when I say doable, I mean the best possible rate that's out there. It's a phone call that can literally save you thousands of dollars. 803-238-0111. 803-238-0111. You can also check out the website ggmortgage.com.
Our coverage of Gamecocks baseball is presented by Resto Pros of the Midlands and by Palm Casual Outdoor Furniture. Visit palmcasual.com to recreate your outdoor area today.
Yeah, it's 10:33. Welcome back inside the Gamecocks, the morning show, built by the Barn Co. and powered by our friends at Electric Bikes of Charleston, electricbikescharleston.com. Big John Strickland. I had a good time with you on Saturday, man. Good, long time no see.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, caught the first two games this weekend. Got to see a lot of guys that I used to hang out with back in the day when they played baseball and I played football. So it was a good time.
Yeah.
Good time.
Yeah.
Fun night at Tenerife.
I'm just still trying to catch. I was riding home on Sunday trying to figure. Flint called and he's like, "Oh man, about that." You know how he is. I was like, yeah. We did all that without you. You're right.
Yeah.
We can do it without you, Mike. It was fun. It was so great to see just so many true, I was talking to Jay Brown's dad. Jay and I live together, and so I know his family well. I was talking to Jay Brown's dad. He's like, "Man, getting old is weird, isn't it?" He's like, you have the friends you grew up with, you have your college friends, and you get older and you have your neighborhood friends, and then you have the friends of the parents that, or parents whose kids play with your kids and all this stuff. It's like you have 4 or 5 different groups of friends. And I said, yeah, no disrespect to any of them, but I want my college friends back. Those were the days. So it was that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Good old days. Fun, busy weekend. Then I had to drive over to Georgia. We did a barrel pick over at 13th Colony
Yeah, how'd that go?
Distillery. Went great. Did that yesterday morning and drove back home. Got home last night. And tomorrow I got to fly to Nashville for 2 days, and then so I'm long 7 days.
There's worse places to be than
Wow, I'll tell you
Nashville.
what, it's supposed to be snowing 10 degrees and 12 degrees in Nashville, so I'm actually not looking forward to it.
You get a call PD while you're up there?
I don't think I'm leaving the Westin Hotel the whole time I'm there.
Yeah.
I'll take that back. I got dinner reservations at Hall's Thursday night, so.
Oh, you might see PD then. Who knows?
Yeah. So.
All right. Real quick here, Craig asked about Matthew Becker. He said, has he increased his velocity? I feel like he's always been 88 to 90, but I could be wrong. Yeah, his velo is going to be up a little bit this year, Craig. I mean, he's not going to be in the upper 90s or anything like that. I don't even know that he'll sit in the mid 90s, but he's up, and as it warms up a little bit, it'll go up a little bit too. But he's got I'd say he's got 3 pitches now as opposed to 2. I think Matthew Becker's in line to have a good year, and when he gets banged around, and he will, they all do. We'll see how he responds to that, and that'll be a big moment for him. But yeah, you could call him 88 to 92, 93. That's what I would say. Did you hear any bad words sitting next to Coach Maneri this weekend?
No, but I'll tell you what, where I sit, I'm literally right beside him and Monty.
Yeah.
While they stand on the steps, and it was fun to hear them interact. The players interact. They just all seemed like they were having a good time. So it seemed a little more laid back than in the past. So I'll just put it that way.
Well, it's fun. Yeah, I was talking to Coach Tanner on Friday, and it was so I wasn't certainly not going to correct him or anything like that. But I mean, he's not wrong. He's exactly right. Hey, I'm going to coach you hard in practice. I'm going to pat you on the back and cheer for you on game day. I've heard him get into some rear ends on game day with stories that don't need to be told. But largely, though, all the coaching is done on those other days. You got to go play that day, and that is absolutely 100%. You're exactly right. That is that's Coach. You can he doesn't need to say anything when he's disappointed at something you've done. You can feel
right,
it. Walk by. That's how Coach Tanner was. That's how Coach Spurrier. I mean, they don't have to say anything. And they know that you know. But he was he is a joy to be around. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. One thing I'm questioning with him is he had like 3 chances this weekend to challenge plays. 2 of the 3, I'm pretty sure, would have been overturned. And
thought the one down at second base.
Yeah.
You know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Now, he did look over at Monty at third and was like, hey. And Monty's like, I didn't see it. Couldn't tell from my angle if we should challenge it or not.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
I'm sure that's one of the ones you're talking about.
And King would challenge everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
which we didn't really need to challenge much this weekend. I mean, it was blowouts, so it was just kind of like, yeah, let's just play ball.
Yeah. No, I think that's largely who he is. Like, I mean, he's old school, man. Like, you didn't have all this junk, just I don't know, play the game. I mean, that's going to happen. Overcome it. I mean, there will be moments where it's like, we'd like to have that back. I think the most interesting thing that I saw, and I'm going to move to football with you here in just a second, though. But the most interesting thing that I saw this weekend that I just can't get used to. I mean, I'm used to it, but I'm not used to it, is the green bag at first. I'm still mesmerized by the fact that thing even exists.
I like it. I personally like it because, there's been controversial. It's happened to us. Last year it happened to us, controversial calls of runner interference and all this other stuff that's happened. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. How about that?
Mm-hmm. The one thing I haven't done, and this is really poor on my end, so I need to confirm it. Matter of fact, in the press box the other day, this came up, and I'm not sure we got a final answer on it. But the question was, if you're running down the line and you hit the white bag versus the green bag, are you out? Is that interference? Do you have to touch the green bag? And you would think with all my baseball knowledge, I might know this, but I don't. So that's pretty sad. So we got to get some confirmation on that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying. That would be good to know. I didn't even know. For some reason in my head, I just thought you could touch either bag, but they have the outside bag there for, I think partly is for player safety. Because, I mean, we saw it a couple of times with our baseball team last year where there was some runner interference stuff. Some guys got hit. I mean, there's chance of injury. So I understand why they're doing it. So it is weird. But, yeah, that's a great question, JB. I don't know that answer. I hadn't looked into it hard enough.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. And Craig says Grayson didn't know either. I know he didn't know because I talked to him. We were talking about it at Tin Roof. I actually asked Grayson.
Yeah.
And he said, you know what, that came up today, and I don't know. And I said, me neither. We should get our story straight. So, but it would be interesting if all of a sudden, no matter, like I mean, I don't even know, like, what if you hit between the two and they're attached? You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to figure that out. We got to figure that out because that could be a big problem.
Would think it's still, I would think for fair or foul ball, I would think it's still the white bag. I think the green bag's there just for safety. So, you know, if that's what you're asking, like, I wonder if it went over the green bag.
No, that's foul ball. That's a foul ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a foul ball. What you got?
Give us some clarity here for you.
I was listening to Coach Lake call, I think it was game 3. Not call, but you know, he was on there. And the way he kind of described it was, so long as like the runner can touch the white bag, if you're rounding the base, that's perfectly fine. And so long as it's not like there's not like a play at the base, you're not necessarily out. But if there's a throw to first and the runner steps on the white bag, it opens you up to the possibility of being called out. So long as the runner is not,
so you can,
but
to avoid the controversy, hit the green bag.
Is just to hit the green bag, unless you're rounding, and then it doesn't matter. Yeah. It goes in your favor.
Okay.
But it calls into question whether or not, like, if somebody's making a throw to first and you step on the white bag, you can be out.
Yeah,
regardless of whether or not you are. That's what that was the best explanation of that, because I was thinking the same thing. I was like, how does this really work? And Stewart, he put it to the best I've heard yet.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point of that is to prevent interference, which obviously can cause injury, can cause, you know, first baseman catching the ball or the runner getting to the bag. I mean, you know, it's just a whole. I understand why they did it. That's why I said I do like it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I never thought that I would like it. You know, I because John, I'm like you are with football. It's very hard for me to come around to a lot of these new age rules. Like, dude, we did this for 130 years. You know, why didn't we do it? Why do we have to have it now? But it doesn't, like, it's not, there's no negative effect to having it either, if that makes sense.
I think it's almost an advantage for the base runner.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
Like, all right, there was a couple of balls this past weekend, not on our side, but, you know, on their side, where Sacred Heart had some bad throws when they reached back to tag us, but we're going over the green bag, so that puts it about a whole foot and a half out further from where he could swipe and tag from where you're trying to get from the base. So that actually maybe helped us a couple times, because twice that happened last weekend.
Well, that's
this past weekend where they couldn't get the tag on us because we were going the balloons. They couldn't get the tag on us.
What was that all about?
I think it's the Apple stuff.
Oh,
yeah. But maybe that worked to our advantage this past weekend.
I'd say it's not your birthday, is it?
No, it's not.
Good technology's getting out of hand.
Yeah.
What word triggered the balloons?
I don't know. It must have been a hand motion or something.
Oh,
who knows?
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. If your throw is wide, and especially if you have to jump and then tag, or it's a high throw and you have to tag, and that's when you slide. Like, how some people slide head first because it's going to be a close play, but that's actually slowing you down. Don't do that.
It is. The only time you want to do that is the ball's thrown high and they're going to get reached back and tag. You just go under it.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that's a good point. Okay, I agree with that. That's a good point. The one that you were talking about that Coach Beneri could have challenged was where the base runner made an inadvertent move into the grass area, because the baseline in that case generally is where you establish the baseline. So if you establish it on the inside, you get your arm length and that's it. Yeah. But he had established a base-to-base path, and so he had shifted to the inside on the throw, on the pickoff. And had they reviewed that with the right angle, he most likely would have been called out because of the egregious move, but they didn't review it. The other thing with the first base stuff too, though, it has long not made sense. Like, the bag has always been on the inside of the foul line.
Yep.
But you were supposed to run in foul territory within the white lines. And then at the last second, so that's been the grayest.
There was some big plays against us last season where
happened a lot.
We got called out because we were running down the baseline, and they said we interfered, like on a bunt, we interfered with the catcher throwing to first base, and we got called out like 2 or 3 times last year. I remember this.
Yep.
And so I think that green bag it's going to help, to get rid of some of these ticky-tack calls where it's a judgment call by the ump,
That's right. That's a great point. It does largely take it out of their hands. And King, I talked to King about one of those last year. I remember this conversation explicitly now. And he was like, I don't understand. Like, what do they want me to tell my guys?
Yes.
I mean, we're running to the bag. Like, they're not weeble wobbling and zigzagging and all that stuff. Like, they're going direct to the bag. I mean, if they take one step left or right just because they're hauling ass, what do you want me to tell them?
Yeah.
I mean, that happens when your head's down and you're trying to get there in under 4 seconds before the ball does. Yeah, you might take a step one direction more than the other. And it was a total judgment call for over 100 years. But the thing was, though, is it never became as popular it never became like a very popular talking point because you didn't have all the replay and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So once replay got implemented, and then they started focusing in on some of the rules that they felt like they could clean up, then it started to become more of an emphasis. And now you've taken that out of it, so you get to stay. We're spending too much time on this, but John, 11 players officially invited to the NFL Combine for South Carolina, which is the 4th most in college football. Ohio State had 15, Georgia and Texas both have 14, Oregon with 12, and then the Gamecocks are tied with the Rebels. Are you surprised, though, that there's not more than that? Because there's a couple of names that aren't on this list.
Well, there's one that stands out a lot to me, and I think you know who I'm going to say. We hadn't even talked about this, but Devo. I mean, how do you not invite a guy who was first team All SEC last year, had a solid season this year? He just, he didn't make as many tackles just because there was better players around him on the defense to make those plays. So how do you not give this guy a look at the Combine? Somebody who is a first team All Conference in the SEC a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't understand it. Now, I know there's some questions about, his abilities, his agility and, some other things, but that guy deserves to get a look at the NFL Combine, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would make you're 100%, 1,000,000% right on that. I would also make the argument for Boogie. I think that, Boogie, that's, by the way, 11. That's not including Kai Kroger.
Who got invited to the specialist combine, yeah.
Yep, which you were texting me the other day. So that's actually 12. The previous 3 years to the combine itself, 22, 23, and 24, is a total of 13. So 11 this year is the most dating back to 2012. It's probably the most ever, but I would really have to go do some research on that. John, in 1954, and I know you remember this well, in 1954, there were 30 rounds in the NFL draft. Well, the pro football draft. 360 players were taken, and 9 Gamecocks went in that. 9 in 1954. In 2009 and in 2013 in modern era football. The most
before everybody and their mother got drafted back then. Back in the day.
Everybody went, right? Well, clearly that's not the case anymore. There's 7 rounds in the NFL draft. 7 Gamecocks were selected in the 2009 and the 2013 drafts. 7. I would venture a guess with the 12, including Kroger, plus 2, 14. I would venture a guess. I'm not trying to be homeristic here. I'm just being real. We've watched these guys play football. We know what they look like. I think they're going to break that record.
I don't have any doubt about it. I think we at least get to 10. That's what
10.
I think. I think we at least get 10, 9 or 10. That's going to be that's my number.
Let's run through them here. E-Man Worry is a hard yes.
Yes.
I would say OD is a hard yes.
Yep.
I there's no way they're going to go 7 rounds without him getting drafted.
No, he'll get drafted.
Tonka.
Yep.
Okay. Kyle Kennard is a 4. TJ's a 5.
Yep.
Demetrius Knight.
Yep.
Okay. I agree with that. What about Bam?
He's a toss-up for me.
Okay. I would agree with that. I think Pro Day it will be very good to him here. Yep. That'll be a very important day for him. Rocket's going to go.
Yep. That's 7.
Josh Simon.
Yep.
Torselli Simpkins.
Yeah, he'll probably be 4th to 6th round. That's what I think.
DeAndre
That's
Jules.
9. Possibly. He's a toss-up.
Toss-up. Yeah, I'm with you. I think Kai gets drafted.
I do too. I think he gets drafted late.
You're seeing more and more punters.
So that would be the 10 right there.
And we haven't even gotten to Debo or Boogie.
Right. So I think you see 9 or 10 guys off this past year's team.
All right, you understand the combine. Why would Debo Williams not get an invite?
I don't know. I mean, typically, I'm just surprised he's not invited because you invite guys. I mean, even if they're going to be lifelong special teamers, you invite those guys to the combine because you want to see how they move and run and all that stuff. Now, they're going to listen, we're going to have every team in the NFL at our pro day. So they're all going to be able to see him then too. And they're going to do the same drills and all that. But it's just the combine's one of those things that only so many guys. I didn't get invited to the NFL combine. So only so many guys get invited. I mean, you get you get around 400 guys invited to Senior Bowls, which is not a lot. Think about all the college football players. It's about my number could be off a little bit, but then only 300 and how many get invited to the combine?
It's a little different every year, but I think that's about right, isn't it? About 300?
300-ish. So I mean, listen, that's an honor, and I think Debo earned that honor by the way he played here at South Carolina. So yeah, that's one that I'm really shocked about.
329 invited this year.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean 300 or so is pretty much every year, but yeah, I think he got the shaft, and then of course, thank you, Mad Dog, and then I think, I mean personally, I think Boogie. I like Boogie. I think that there's going to be a team that likes Boogie. Does he go in the draft? I don't know. He's maybe a tweener guy like you kind of mentioned.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to be something like me, where you're undrafted. You'll get an invite from a team to come to camp, and he'll be able to prove himself and see if he can make the squad or not.
Okay, that group. So, Eman Worry, high school kid, O'Donnell Fortune, high school kid. Tonka Hemingway, high school kid. TJ, high school kid. Simon, Simpkins, Sanders, portal guys. Bam was a JUCO guy. In the words of Coach Toman, a JUCO bandit. I guess we can use that in football. Kennard, of course, a portal guy. Jules, a portal guy. Kroger was a high school kid. Boogie was a high school kid. And Debo came from Delaware. He was a portal guy. What does that tell you? This group is a mixed bag of all that. What does that tell you about this staff and their ability to evaluate no matter where they're coming from?
I mean, I think it says a lot. I mean, you take guys, it's just like some of these portal guys you mentioned, other than, Rocket. Other than Rocket, all these other portal guys come from smaller schools or came from D1 schools, but they hadn't done much in their career. Then they get to South Carolina and just explode onto the scene. So I think that tells you a lot about the staff being able to develop kids. And then you take somebody like Nick, who's going to be a first-round pick, who hardly nobody recruited out of high school, is a 3-star, low-rated 3-star. Nobody recruited him. Well, South Carolina saw something, and sure enough, we developed him. And guess what? He's going to get a fat payday here come April.
You got that right. What does that also – how does that make you feel about the players on this roster that we don't know about yet, who have come in from the portal? I'm not talking about the high school kids. It's too early for that. But the portal guys, maybe if fans are, I'm not going to say disappointed. I'm sure there's somebody is, but, just don't know how to feel, right? They don't really know any of these guys are, because I'll say this real quick, John, before you respond. I can tell you now that when South Carolina, outside of Kyle Kennard for the most part, when they signed Simpkins in the portal, when they signed Simon in the portal, when they signed Bam from JUCO, when they signed Demetrius Knight from Charlotte, when they signed DeAndre Jules from Pitt, none of those guys, when they signed Debo from Delaware, I didn't see message boards and Twitter keyboard warriors lighting the world up about how much they loved them as football players. Matter of fact, I saw quite the opposite with a lot of it. Why are we taking these guys? And now they're going to the NFL Combine. A lot of them are going to get their names called in April in the NFL Draft. So what I'm getting at is pushing that forward now to this new group of portal players that we don't know about. What would you say to that?
Well, I've always said this. If coaches are recruiting and going after these guys, they're good players, because if they weren't, they wouldn't be wasting their time. But they also see whatever this staff is looking for, they see something that relates to how they coach. So that's why they're signing these guys, and then they're developing these guys. I mean, Simpkins now, I'd already heard this guy was a real deal. And said he's going to come in and start immediately.
You were the first one to say that amongst anybody.
Yeah. So I knew about him. Now, the rest of them I didn't know much about. I mean, we knew a little bit about Kennard, So he had a pretty good season at Georgia Tech the year before. But, man, were we expecting a first-team consensus All-American? No, none of us were.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to give it to the coaching staff, man. They just see something in these guys, and they develop them. So, it's not – I know some people want to hire these big, flashy names that get in the portal. Oh, man, this guy was a former 5-star. Yeah, let's get him. Well, those guys don't always pan out. Some of the ones here in the past few years that have transferred just hadn't worked out for them. So clearly this staff has their eye on certain guys, and for the most part, they have worked out so far.
I think it's going to be a guessing game every year when it comes to the portal. You hit, and some years you won't hit. Mostly they have hit. There's no doubt. All right, before we let you run here, give us a bourbon pick for the week. This is becoming a trend. Last week you had them talking when you left. You had them talking. They were all talking.
Well, I'm a wild turkey guy. I love Victor's too. So I would say wild turkey, rare breed. That's an easy one to find. That's a very solid pour. If you like lower proof stuff, any of the Michter's standard lineup is just fantastic, flavorful whiskey. And if you can find any cast strength 13th Colony, which I know it's a little bit harder to find, but we just picked a barrel of cast strength rye yesterday at the distillery, and it is fantastic. It was a great place to hang out. And I'm probably not even supposed to say this, but they let us pull a pour out of the barrel of the not this coming year's double oak release from 13th Colony, but 2026. They snuck us a little pour out of there, which I don't think I'm supposed to say that, but man, it's some tasty stuff. Those are hard bottles to get. They only come out with about 32 to 3,500 bottles of it every year, and they are super rare to get.
Keep your doors locked. The Bourbon police are coming.
Yeah. But great bunch of people at 13 Colony. And you know what? It's not far from South Carolina. From Columbia, it's about 4.5 hours. It's a great place to go. Great people. They treated us like royalty while we were there. We were there for about 2 hours. America's Georgia.
America's Georgia. What's more American than America's Georgia?
Yeah.
Nothing.
So, solid. It's actually not far from my hometown. So,
Bainbridge, Georgia.
Yep.
It's always a pleasure, my friend. Give Chrissy a big hug for us, and I know we'll talk throughout the week, but we'll certainly see you next week.
Yep, I'll be here. Got to go to cold Nashville. About to go get my hair cut, get this long beard taken off. It's the first work travel I've done since before Christmas, so just been kind of letting this get out of control, but it's time to clean it up. Got to go do some work.
No, it'll grow back.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
I usually try not to travel during winter. This is usually about the first time I start, so probably be tightened up the rest of the year until Christmas time.
I got to tighten mine up too, John. Next time they see us, we'll be very fresh.
That's right.
Cameras, that's for sure. Thanks, brother. See you.
All right, guys. See y'all.
Alex Jones coming up. We'll get into some hoops with him. We've got some softball news to pass along. Some good stuff. And Hale will give us a recruiting report as well. Powered by Electric Bikes of Charleston. ElectricBikesCharleston.com. Power your spring with the great Gamecocks that own Electric Bikes of Charleston. ElectricBikesCharleston.com. We'll be right back. Remarkable, 5-star, sensational. These are just some of the terms used to describe nationally renowned chef William Turner out of Scottsdale, Arizona. Originally from Georgetown, South Carolina, and a diehard Gamecocks fan, Chef Will made his way out west and has served parties from every state and many countries from across the globe. If you're in Arizona or have plans elsewhere, visit ChefWilliamTurner.com to inquire about private events and more. From MLB to NFL, the chef has served everyone. He's won all the awards, done all the press. There's a reason for that. Food from every culture, all of it first class. ChefWilliamTurner.com and Chef Will Turner on socials. You won't believe what you see. You really won't believe how it tastes.
Charleston Fitness Equipment is keeping South Carolina in shape. Clients have come from all over the Palmetto State to find that one piece of equipment that they enjoy that keeps them looking and feeling good. Whether it's a home rower, treadmill, elliptical, free weights, a home gym, or something else, Charleston Fitness Equipment keeps the mirror smiling back at you. Get in shape like the Gamecocks do. Visit charlestonfitnessequipment.com. Gamecock owned and operated and proud partners of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
We got started in 1979. Because we're a manufacturer, we're able to control our costs. That's why we like to manufacture as much of the product as we can, because in our factory stores we can offer a competitive edge over other people around the country. When people come into one of our Palm Casuals, it's like they're buying their car at Detroit. They're going right to the factory and buying their car.
30-day money-back guarantee. That's a big deal with us. I mean, we give 30 days to do anything. I mean, return it, change it, get a different color, get your money back.
When you pull into a store and it says Palm Casual, you know you're at a factory store.
I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Disaster comes uninformed. During and after natural disasters or accidents, there can be a heavy loss to property. It can become extremely difficult to bounce back to what you knew before. Having your home or office destroyed or damaged by water, fire, smoke, or mold affects your personal and business lifestyle. Resto Pros of the Midlands is here to help. Open 24/7. Call them when you need them. 803-493-0170.
Touchdown ball. a screen, and it goes to Brewer. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Brewer. His second of the day. Pitches it to Brewer. Turns the corner. Touchdown, number 3 of the afternoon.
Hey folks, it's Mike Morgan for Ryan Brewer Fence. That's right, you know the former Gamecock legend as a terrific college football player. Well, I know him as that too. I also know him as the guy that runs a great business, one of the best businesses in South Carolina. How do I know that? Well, for one, I'm actually a client of Ryan's. I had my home in Columbia done years ago, and his crew did an outstanding job, just as he does for everybody else. Whether you're in the market for a fence, railings, columns, or anything in between, their craftsmanship, their experience, and service second to none. Ryan Brewer Fence has over 15 years of experience with consultation and installation of residential and commercial fencing and railings. Rest assured your job will be done with an unparalleled level of expertise, and it's done on time, and they do it right the first time. Again, you're not going to do any better than Ryan Brewer, Ryan Brewer Fence. The website is ryanbrewer.net. Set up an appointment today. Tell him Mike sent you.
This is my dirt.
Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks, the morning show. Presented by the Barndominium Company and Resto Pros of the Midlands. Hour 2 starts now.
Yeah, I'd hate to be the first to sell. This is my dirt, these are my fields, where I harvest what I plant. That little pond, I catch bluegill. I built that barn with my 2 hands, where I raise my babies, a piece of me. Now this ain't just a piece of land. The money be great, but I can't part ways with a life that works. You can't put a greenback dollar on what it's worth. This is my
It is 11:07. Welcome back inside the Gamecocks, the morning show, brought to you by our good buddy Tony Pope, Tony Pope State Farm, TonyPope.com. If you are in South Carolina or Georgia and need to shop your insurance, shop it with Tony Pope. His name all over the billboards and up there on the screen at Founders Park this weekend. He's a great Gamecock, works very hard for all of you. TonyPope.com. Real quick here, some news. Tonight, the Gamecocks will enter the contest against North Carolina in the top 25. D1 softball's rankings are out for this week, and Ashley Chastain has got them in there. In her inaugural season, after 10 games, they are 10-0, looking to improve to 11-0 and 3-0 versus the ACC, we might add. They are number 24 in this week's D1 softball top 25 poll, much like D1 baseball. I put more emphasis on this one than others. But just to prove how difficult this league is, once again, in just another sport, they are the 12th highest ranked team out of the SEC. 12th.
Stop me if you've heard this one before, right?
Not 6, Alex. Not 8, Phil. Not 10. Nope, not 11. We're not going to stop there.
Jeez.
12th highest ranked team out of the SEC. But we'll talk to Ashley on Thursday. She'll be here with us for as long as she wants to be. I think about 11 o'clock or so on Thursday morning. And regardless, they certainly are. We certainly are playing pretty well. Have you seen them play yet, Alex?
I haven't, but I'm looking forward to catching some of their games. See if I can catch some of their game tonight. Should be a pretty fun matchup tonight.
Yeah, moved up a day. It's not like baseball where you have to shift your entire. You know, you're like, oh gosh, man, we're moving up a day. What arms are ready? What arms aren't ready? You know, in softball, they don't have to do all that. They'll throw their game 1 Friday night gal tonight against North Carolina, and good news, she'll be back on Friday. So
and then maybe again on Sunday.
Yeah, you never know. I know softball pretty decently. I mean, obviously, I knew Ashley from school and hung around all them and have watched plenty of my time. But it's changed a little bit. I mean, there was a time where you'd see the same one over and over and over throughout a weekend. She's actually taking a little bit of a different approach with the group she's got. You know, they're all going to throw a bunch of innings, it seems like. So we'll see. All right, Alex, that's the good news. The bad news is the men have to play tonight. You almost like, I feel like I'm not even really doing my job because I've run out of things to say. I guess when you look at what's left on the schedule, this seems to be the most winnable game, even though it's on the road. Does it appear that way to you? What do you know about LSU? Besides they've struggled too.
Yeah, they are kind of right down there in the standings with South Carolina. Obviously, they're coming off a win on Saturday. They went to Oklahoma and found a way to escape with a 3-point win. They're a team that's, I think South Carolina kind of matches up kind of well with LSU, but it's going to be one where South Carolina hasn't played well on the road at all, really, especially in SEC play. And they got to go on the road to a team that's coming off a win that's trying to build some momentum. So, it's going to be a test. And LSU's got some talented guys on the team. Cam Carter is averaging just over 17 points per game. Jordan Sears is really good at guard too. So it's going to be another challenge for South Carolina. And it's a game that, you see some opportunities for them in, and then see if they can find a way to build some momentum into a back half of the schedule that you're going to have some of those tough games. You got Tennessee, in there, you got to go to Missouri, but there's some opportunities that South Carolina can find a way to build some momentum.
Stepping away from the ball game for a little bit, the 3 games in league play that are tonight, 7:00 on the Deuce. You remember when they used to call ESPN the Deuce? Remember that, Alex?
Yeah.
The Deuce. Glad they don't do that anymore. From the Stephen C. O'Connell Center in Gainesville, Exact Tech Arena. Oklahoma is at the 2nd-ranked Florida Gators. Now, there's a lot on the line here, and Florida should be fine. They should be fine. They're 14.5-point favorites. They should be fine. But let me point out a couple of things. Number one, Florida is, based on the latest bracketology that just came out today. Well, there it is. They're the number 1 seed in Raleigh, which is part of the western half of the bracket. When you go to San Francisco. Who wants to go to San Francisco right now? Anyway, ask for another day. So Florida is a projected 1 seed along with Duke, Alabama, and Auburn. So the Gators keep winning. Obviously, there's a really good chance. The SEC is going to get 2 of the top 4. The question is, are they going to get 3, or hell, could they get 4?
Yeah.
But here's really the magnificent part about this ball game that's going to be tipping at 7:00. There are 13 teams right now. 13 projected in. Yesterday there were 14. There are 13 teams that are projected in. Oklahoma is one of the last 4 in. All right. So are the Arkansas Razorbacks. Let me remind everybody that Oklahoma, while they are 16-9 on the season, they are 3-9 in the SEC. And they're projected in the tournament. And so if they lose tonight against a number 1 seed, which again seems likely, they'll be 3-10. But how much are they really going to get banged for losing in Gainesville? So you'll be talking about a 16-10, 3-10 Oklahoma Sooners team who could, after tonight, be hanging on as one of the last 4 in or in the first 4 out group. If that doesn't further explain the depth of this league and the difficulty of this league, I don't think there could be anything else that possibly could.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at the teams that are on the bubble right now from the SEC. You got Georgia, who I think is projected out right now, but one of those last teams out. You got them who, haven't been great in SEC play. They have a couple good wins. They got Kentucky in there, but it just shows the depth of this league and what people in the committee and on the outside think of it. It's every night it's a war. You've seen teams like Auburn and Mississippi State's two of the best teams in Florida, 3 of the best teams in the SEC come to Colonial Life Arena and have to escape and have to work to get a win against South Carolina. South Carolina's been close right there, but it's an unreal league this year. It's one of the best. It's the best in the nation, obviously, and then it's one of the best I think ever. Really, it's just top to bottom. It's stacked.
Yeah, I'm a little. I'm interested in the different, because you're right. Georgia is on that first line out, And when I looked at it this morning, but I wanted to make sure that I was right about this. When you actually compare the schedules of the Hogs and the Dogs, well, that's a place you wouldn't want to be. You're talking about Arkansas. You're talking about Arkansas and Oklahoma being in and Georgia being out. Georgia has one more win in SEC play. I mean, they're all very similar, to be honest with you. Like all of their schedules. Now, Oklahoma in the non-con did not lose a game. That included wins over 24th ranked Michigan, 24th ranked Arizona. They beat Louisville, who is one of just 3 ACC teams who's projected in right now. So all 3 of these teams could play their way out. All 3 could play their way in. My guess is 1 or 2 of the 3 will play their way in or something like that. But it further goes to explain, though, just how close South Carolina, like when you look at that 10-15 mark and 0-12 in the league, it further goes to explain exactly what we've been saying around here for a while, Phil, and it's heartbreaking to say. But if the Gamecocks somehow right now were 14-11 and 4-8 in SEC play, all those games that they just kind of gave up or gave away there at the end. I'm talking about 14-11, 4-8 in league play with that win over Clemson. They'd be on the bubble right now.
Yeah, and not only would they be on the bubble, but those wins would stand out. I mean, if let's say they close the game against Florida, let's say they close the game against Auburn. That's 2 of the top teams in the country. I mean, 2 probably number 1 seeds. Like those are high quality wins that would eventually probably cancel out the North Florida loss to start the season. So, I mean, it kind of shows how small the margin of error is this year in the SEC, and it's kind of gotten to South Carolina. But one thing that this league's going to have is the SEC tournament is going to be really fun. I mean, it's going to be something. Like you're going to have teams, one either battling to get in the tournament, like probably Georgia, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma. Those teams are going to be battling to get in. But then you're going to have teams that are battling just to improve their seed. So I mean, the SEC tournament is going to be something this year.
It's absolutely going to be something. You can make the argument that a lot of that has kind of started right now. Yeah. You got Mississippi State tonight hosting Texas A&M. State is a projected 7 seed in Alabama's bracket, which would be the Midwest bracket. Again, all this will change, but just so everybody knows kind of where they stand here, it's time to pay attention to all this stuff, right? And they've got A&M coming to town, who's ranked number 7 in the country. They're a projected 2 seed, and if somebody slips in front of them, let's say it is the Gators or Alabama or Duke or something like that, they're standing there with Tennessee going, pick me. So this is a huge ball game tonight for Texas A&M. You can make the argument that the SEC tournament and the results of how a lot of that plays out and ends up placing teams in the postseason is actually already begun.
Yeah, I mean, every game here from here on out, the regular season into the conference tournament is going to mean something, especially because of the league. Because most of the time, most games here from here on out are going to be battling between NCAA tournament teams. So there's going to be seeding on the line. There's going to be SEC tournament seeding on the line. There's going to be top 4 seeds in the tournament on the line. So it's a whole lot of fun to watch SEC basketball here down the stretch.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun tonight. Hopefully, it's fun for South Carolina. And I just pray that my friend Mike Morgan has a good game to call, and really pray that Carolina comes out on top from the Pete Maravich Assembly Center. First of all, Mad Dog, we have to acknowledge the fact that the pride of Hampton County here didn't get the task of having to drive the rental car back from Baton Rouge this weekend like he did this past weekend from Gainesville.
That's right. Are you going to get to fly?
Because I talked to Derek Friday morning on the way to Columbia about the schedule. I was trying to figure out how to fit him into our baseball coverage. And I said, so what will you – I thought you were leaving today. Oh, heck no, man. It's a 5.5 hour drive. I'm going to leave tomorrow morning. Me and Alex are picking it up, and I'm going to fly back with the team, and Alex gets to drive the rental car back. I thought, well, that sucks.
Road Alex. Trip. I know.
We don't have an intern for that. How was the drive, Alex? I can tell you right now, driving back to Columbia from Gainesville, that's like that's a 5-star deal compared to having to drive back here from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. No,
yeah, that's like twice the time, more than likely.
It wasn't a bad trip coming back. Right as soon as I crossed the Florida-Georgia line, it started just pouring. I think it rained on me the whole way there, and it was windy. It was going through that whole storm system that was coming through South Carolina, but it wasn't a bad trip there and back.
The only person I know that said that they enjoyed their trip from Baton Rouge to Columbia is Paul Maneri's wife. She, I guess, made a couple of day trip out of it and kind of enjoyed herself along the way. I'm like, I'm good. I'm good with that. I'm good. No thanks. LSU comes in tonight, Alex, off of a win. That was a pretty wild little victory they had there against Oklahoma. That again is, that's a bad loss for the Sooners, and they're still somehow today projected in the tournament at 3-9, as we just pointed out a moment ago. But prior to that, loss. They lost like 7 in a row. What are we looking for here? What do you know? I mean, what will give the Gamecocks a challenge?
Yeah, it's going to be the guard play for LSU. I mean, I mentioned it kind of off the top. Cam Carter and Jordan Sears have been really good this year. I mean, Jordan Sears was a guy that, probably a lot of South Carolina fans remember just from the transfer portal this past off season. But Cam Carter has been really good, 17.3 points per game. He's shooting 41% from three this year. And then he and Sears are 87 and 86% from the free throw line as well. So those two guards, they're going to be a challenge. And I mean, I think, down low, I'm interested to watch, what Colin Murray, Bulls, and Nick Preland can get going down there. I mean, Jalen Reed and Damian Collins, or excuse me, not Jalen Reed was really coming on for LSU, and he's out for the year. But, you're watching them against Corey Chest and Damian Collins is going to be fun to watch. But, I think the thing with Cam Carter is he's starting to play his best ball right now. I think he had 29 points against Oklahoma. Yeah, he had 29 points, 10 of 17 from the field, and 5 of 10 from three. I mean, that guy's really starting to play well. So I think that's going to be South Carolina's biggest challenge, to see if they can slow him down. And if they can, we'll see what can happen.
That doesn't sound good. Those guys end up going off. So yesterday, the news, I guess it's news, kind of broke that LSU is committed to Matt McMahon. Yeah. Matt McMahon, right? Yeah. I know it's not Vince, but they're committed to Matt McMahon, and who's a good coach. He was a guy whose name came up with this job, but it came up with the caveat of we are focused on increasing our commitment to name, image, and likeness for the men's basketball program here at LSU. Do you draw some similarities there to what's going on in Columbia?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, seeing what's all gone down for South Carolina this season, I think it's obvious there needs to be some improvement there. I mean, because we talk about, what we were talking about earlier with this league, like it's really good this year, but you don't see it slowing down at all. Like these teams are going to reload and they're going to be really good again. So, I mean, I think you're going to see that, just to kind of plug in the VIP room last night. John Whittle had some notes on that, so go check that out on thebigspur.com. But I think you're going to see a little South kind of find ways to improve in that, because I think just with what you've seen this season compared to for South Carolina compared to what you've seen around the SEC, I think you got to see some improvement there.
Look, Alex, I know that during this losing streak, Carolina has played probably, just some awesome teams. And you look back over this right now, the last 4 games that they played. Talk about Texas A&M, where they had a chance, couldn't quite get it done. The Aggies shot 45% from the field for the game, 48% long range. Kentucky, 35% from beyond the arc, but 48.4% overall in the ball game, right? Ole Miss shot 46% for the game. And as we recall, 62% from long range. And then the Gators shot 60% from the field in the game and 50% from long range. That's a disturbing trend for me, because Lamont, maybe a little bit different than Frank in some areas, but certainly really pushes and presses on defense. isn't always as concerned necessarily about the percentage of makes if you're limiting possessions and creating turnovers and things like that can kind of mitigate and offset. But when you're not doing that and somebody each game is knocking down over half of the three-pointers or damn near 50-60% overall from the floor or whatever it is, that's just a really bad scenario, knowing that this team, it's not like Carolina can just shoot the lights out. They just fire it up and say, well, let's just hang in here and see what happens late. They don't have that ability. So what have you learned about the defensively and what in the world they've been going through the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, it's really been kind of something here in those games you mentioned. I mean, some of them have been just guys that are making contested shots or contested three-pointers. You think back to the A&M game, and Wade Taylor, he and Jamari Thomas just kept going back and forth on threes, and a lot of them were like logo threes for Wade Taylor, and he was just knocking them down. Then sometimes these teams are just getting open shots that shouldn't be happening in South Carolina's defense. You think about in that Florida game, South Carolina did an okay job in the first half defending the three-point line. Both teams really kind of started off pretty well offensively, but South Carolina had their own struggles offensively to end the half, but only were down by 4 points at halftime. You get into the second half, and Florida just turns it up on the fast break, and they are finding open looks pretty consistently. And I kind of asked Lamont about that after the game, and some of it was just miscommunication, and some of it was their offense. Was some of the shots they were taking on offense was turning into fast break opportunities and open threes for Florida. And a team like Florida, when you give them open threes, they're going to knock them down and extend their lead and roll past you like they did to South Carolina in the second half. So, I mean, that's something with this LSU game. Like, they're going to have to be able to slow that down. LSU, I think, LSU is okay. They're at 31% right now from shooting threes, so maybe there's opportunities there to, find ways to improve on the 3-point line. But if they want to find some success here down the stretch, they've got to improve on their perimeter defense.
I need to add to Georgia shot over 50% in the ball game as well. So that's 5 straight. Somebody's been over 50 somewhere, basically. That's whew. Elsewhere in college hoops tonight, a couple of upsets that are potential upsets to keep your eyes on if you are a betting man. Texas Tech is at TCU tonight. Might want to be careful in Fort Worth. Kansas is on the road at BYU tonight. And technically, by the rankings, that would be an upset. By the point spread, it wouldn't be. BYU is a 3.5-point favorite in that ball game. Maybe the best game of the night outside of what could transpire in Starkville could be in East Lansing, Purdue, and Michigan State. If you want to watch that, you gotta watch it on Peacock, another one of those streaming services. Mad Dog.
Yeah, no, they're the last one for me, and I'm not doing it.
Yeah, that's right. All right, Alex. Any parting shots before we get you out of here?
No, just stick to the Big Spur. Matt Anderson and I are going to be back on after everybody gets done listening to the morning show today. Matt Anderson and I are going to be back on the late night show tonight previewing LSU. We'll go from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, kind of run into that LSU game. We'll preview LSU and all that, and then kind of look back to talk some baseball and talk some recent basketball. But we'll have it all covered on the Big Spur.
Well, perfect timing. So you hear that, Gamecock fans? 8 o'clock, Alex and Matt are the king of late night and the pride of Hampton County. And then at 8:30, you got to do some double dipping. You got to have these guys on, and then you got to have my man Derek and Casey on at 8:30 in the pregame show as well, leading into that 9 o'clock tip. Well, that's good. That's great. That gave me something to do at 8 o'clock tonight. Not that I didn't know you were going to be there already, but I'm going to act like I didn't. Thanks, man. Good to see you. Have a wonderful week. We'll hopefully be talking about a win or two next week with the men's team.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. See y'all next week.
Always, brother. There you go. Alex Jones, GamecockTraditions.com, GamecockTraditions.com. If you like my hat, Ribo, Carolina, they've got them. How about that? We kind of hooked those two up, and bam, there you go. Ryan's got a deal, and they're selling them now at both locations and online. GamecockTraditions.com. Hat tip to all of you that went and ordered and sold out the white white Carolina hoodies, like the pullovers, the t-shirt hoodies, the long sleeves. Really appreciate that. So I didn't get mine yet. But they've got those on reorder, which is awesome. And of course, it's baseball season, it's softball season, it's always football season, it's whatever, birthday season, anniversary season, all that stuff. Think about them first. If you need the Carolina logo on it, you want to go to Gamecock Traditions. GamecockTraditions.com are both locations in the Midlands. Hale McGranahan is standing by, back to back to back when we return.
It's gone! That ball is going to be out of here! Fair ball in the corner!
The atmosphere in Founders Park is electric. There's nothing like being loud and proud for our Gamecocks. Gamecock Traditions proudly supports Carolina baseball and wants you to look your best while you're at the ballpark. Come see us and choose from the best selection of game hats, hoodies, shirts, and all that entails the baseball logo. From tailgate gear to jewelry and plenty for your kids, Gamecock Traditions is your Gamecock baseball locker room. Don't forget, we have the widest selection for all sports and USC apparel. Come see us in Lexington or in the village at Sand Hill, or order online and have it shipped to your doorstep at GamecockTraditions.com. Go Gamecocks!
When you bundle home and auto, good things can happen. You get a local agent who can help you choose the right coverage for you at a price that's right for you.
Call State Farm agent Tony Pope today.
Nana's Porch presents a Southern staple delivered right to your doorstep. Nana's Porch locally crafted pimento cheese has been a hit for years at weddings, tailgates, and other events. Now you can order online and have it sent to your home. Visit nanasporch.com. That's nanasporch.com and click the pimento cheese tab to choose between their original pimento cheese and their jalapeno smoked pimento cheese set. nanasporch.com, man, that's good.
When you bundle home and auto, good things can happen. You get a local agent who can help you choose the right coverage for you at a price that's right for you.
Call State Farm agent Tony Pope today.
Oh man, the building is on fire.
Emergencies and accidents happen. When you're in the middle of a fire or water event, all you want is for things to return to normal as soon as possible. Resto Pros of the Midlands is with you, guiding you through the process and working with you to get your home or office back in working order. They'll answer your questions, discuss procedures, and can act as your advocate when it comes to processing your insurance claim. Resto Pros Midlands SC.com. Open 24/7 when you need them. Quality that is guaranteed.
Happy New Year from the Barndominium Company, where they are building dream homes in the Carolinas, Georgia, and Tennessee. Their turnkey process can be custom designed and takes 6 months on average. Make your dream a reality. Visit thebarndominiumco.com. Thebarndominiumco.com. Gamecock owned and operated.
Think about that old ride of yours. The carpools, the road trips, the heavy hauls, date nights, and the dings and the dents and the sticky spills and cracker crumbs, and that smell that really never goes away. Do you really want to start the new year in the same old ride? Or is it time for a fresh start? Now's the time for incredible New Year's savings at Love Chevrolet on the entire lineup of award-winning vehicles. Love has more new Chevys on the lot than any other dealer in the Midlands, in the color, style, features you've been looking for. With New Year's savings and Love's famous low price guarantee, your new ride in 25 will be invigorating, exhilarating, and affordable too. South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer, I-26 at Harbison, and online at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
That's the power of love. Love Chevy.
What's up, Gamecock fans? This is Ethan Petrie from Land O'Lakes, Florida. Go Cox.
It's a beautiful morning. I think I'll go outside for a while. Just smile. Just taking some clean, fresh air for me. Get inside. If the weather's fine and you got the time, it's your chance to wake up and plan another brand new day.
You know what else it is, Phil?
How's that?
Take a guess. It's a national day.
Oh, it is a national day. What day are we? February 18th. It's National Throw Those $100 Bouquets Away in the Garbage Can Day.
$100.
Yeah, you think eggs are expensive.
Well,
I also got caught in a situation where I had to have them delivered because typically I will hand deliver a bouquet of flowers.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily roses either. That's one thing I do appreciate is my wife likes different kinds of flowers. So I don't necessarily have to go in on, double dozen or whatever, but yeah, I had to have an arrangement delivered this year and it was $104. Yeah, I know. I know. They still look good though, but they're probably gonna have to be thrown away tomorrow, maybe. So maybe I'm off by a day.
Well, if you need something to replace them with, it is National Drink Wine Day.
Oh, okay, good. There you go.
So,
where's Mike?
Get you a nice bottle of wine. I'm sure Deanna, who's got COVID, would enjoy.
Yeah,
when she comes out of it, she will.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, she'll. Yeah.
Also, and we're waiting on Hale, in case anybody's wondering. 24 years ago today, what happened on this date? It's a tragedy. 24 years ago today.
24. That would have been 01. February 01. I don't know. You got me there too, JB.
Dale Earnhardt.
Ah, okay.
Dale Earnhardt.
And they could have put that together.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, because that was Daytona, wasn't it? Yeah, and that would have been.
Yeah.
Never been a big NASCAR guy though.
No. I was more when I was like a kid because my dad was a huge Ernie Irvan fan.
Oh, right on. Mm-hmm.
And so I would always watch NASCAR with my dad. But I don't know. I'm really not.
Yeah, I'm not either. Yeah, my dad was a big Mark Martin fan. And yeah, I never really got into it. I think I kind of dabbled in it a little bit right around the time that what was his name? Bobby Allison, or is it Davey Allison? The one that passed in the helicopter crash. That was probably the peak of my watching. Like Richard Petty and all those guys.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, just got out of never really was in it, but not a car guy. Also.
I feel like they've just been spinning their wheels, no pun intended, for the better part of a decade, trying to figure out what to do to continue to get NASCAR or keep NASCAR
back
moving. I
feel
feel
relevant again. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I feel like it's coming back. I'll tell you what does it for me. I can't take all the wrecks, man. Like,
the delays. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you see the wrecks and that's one thing, but it's like 20 or 30 minutes of just pace car, it feels like forever. And I just can't, there's nothing going on. So that's what kind of does it in for me. But, I don't want to be an inconsiderate prick. I'd be like, just move him off the track and let's move this thing along. I mean, I hope everybody's okay. I mean, I sure
that thing driving the grass. All right, get it off the damn track.
I mean, I wouldn't want to be going 180 miles an hour and slam into a wall. I mean, that doesn't sound very good. But I just, those are if it was constantly moving, I could. It's kind of like I remember my dad when I was younger, he would very much like I do with golf. He kept the race on, it's going to be on for 4 hours. He would doze in and out of a couple of naps.
Nap time, right.
And sure enough, about the last 15 minutes, it's like he had watched the whole thing,
It seems like they keep changing the rules of that too. And like all
Yeah,
the
I don't
time.
know. I
Like
don't know what they are.
there's a whole postseason now that I have zero understanding of. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, they've kind of implemented some of that in golf. Now, I could watch golf all day. I could do golf all day, which I know is very boring to some people. I'll bet you it's not to our buddy Craig here in the sports chat box. I could do golf all day, and that's very boring to some people. I could watch baseball all day, and I know that's very boring to some people.
Yeah, that's what I like about this time of year. Is like, yeah, good.
See, Jacob says they've slowed it down so much, and the whole point system is stupid.
Okay,
fair enough. I don't even know enough about it. I don't have an opinion.
No,
but it has slowed down. I do have an opinion on that.
Yeah, and I would be completely ignorant if I were to start talking about it in any way, shape, or form, other than I don't really watch it.
Yeah.
I just don't really watch it.
Now I'll watch it over the NBA. I don't like the NBA. I think that the NBA has. I mean, the ratings are terrible. I saw Kevin Durant fighting with somebody like the other day on Twitter. I don't even know how. I don't even know how that even got onto my timeline, but I saw it and I was like, man, I mean, guys, you got to look at them. Nobody's watching you. Nobody watches All-Star Weekend. Nobody plays defense. It's not basketball. You just run around, do a bunch of trick plays every time up and down the floor, and show everybody how many points you can score.
Yeah, it's like 100 plus to 100 plus every time, right? And you're like,
Yeah.
I don't know anything. Yeah, and I recognize some of the names and stuff. I keep up with it that much, but I don't know. Like the whole shocking trade to, who was that? Luka Doncic to the Lakers, and then trading away Eyebrows. What's his name? See, there you go.
Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis. Yeah. He's not there anymore. That was LeBron's homie. So was my understanding. So I don't know. All I know is it doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't grab me. I don't like the way it looks. This is my biggest. This is where I drifted away from the NFA and NBA. Right? Was I just don't like the current game right now. I like that.
I don't either.
Post play, banging in the paint, like that's what I grew up watching. It's what I grew up playing, and it has gotten away from that now to where it's more, it's more athletic and there's a bit more finesse and touch to it, I guess, these days than there ever has been, and I can appreciate that. It's just not for me, so I don't watch.
Drew said, "Remember the old point system, NASCAR." Where they'd have a champ more than 10 races before the end of the season. Now I do remember that, and that certainly. But also though too, and Julie points out the way NASCAR changes rules in the middle of the season to benefit certain teams, not a sport, which that is pretty bonkers. But also I would ask this question again. I'm not Drew. I'm not challenging anything you're saying. I'm staying in my lane here. That is pun intended. But I feel like in the old system, while yes, crowning a champion, everybody knew who it was going to be for months, it seemed like you were also still like tied to a driver, right? And so even if you knew your driver, like it's like in golf, same thing in golf. If you're a Rory guy and Rory's not going to win the cup, but he's still competing in the tournament. Like as a fan of Rory, you're so locked in on Sunday because Rory is competing to win the tournament. But he might not have a chance to win it at the end of the golf season. But Rory is still your guy. Or like in our time, like had you had the system back then when Tiger was doing what Tiger was doing for better than a decade, which of course he would have pretty much won everything every year anyways. But had he not had a chance to, and you were just a Tiger guy, it was like, yeah, but Tiger's going to win the whatever this weekend. Tiger's going to win the U.S. Open, or Tiger's going to win, the Wells Fargo or whatever, because that was your guy. Like it was about that weekend and that moment. So I guess what I'm getting at here is in NASCAR, even if your guy isn't going to win it, are you still locked in because he's got a chance to win that race in particular, especially some of the tracks that they run on that they're going to run well in? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I was having a discussion with a guy. That was when we were at the ballpark when I moved my car, and he was talking about NASCAR, and he was like, they need to bring back small tracks, and bring back the regionality of it. And, he had all sorts of reasons or ways rather to solutions for NASCAR's, I guess, watchability problem. But yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've long thought about connecting to the things that your fans are connected to, and I know they've done some of this, but like if you had a college weekend, you know what I mean, or like, I don't know, in Darlington or in Talladega or something, you had SEC weekend where 16 SEC cars were going to be on the track. Wouldn't you tune in to watch the Gamecock car?
Yeah. I mean, you know, why not?
Beamer's going to be on TV driving it. No, I'm just kidding, Shane. But like, hey, during the 19 hours it takes to complete a race. But that's the other thing, by the way. I feel like there's always, like it happened again this weekend with Daytona. There's always a weather delay. Always. Golly. And they never end. But you're going to watch the race because it's SEC day, and you know that Shane is going to be on there, and he's going to get a chance to go up into the booth and talk with the guys, or something, or something. I don't know. I don't, and then you do it out west for the ACC because when they race in California, the ACC gets highlighted because of Stanford. I don't know. I'm just trying
that's
to
a good bring us back to football, because I didn't really get to talk about, and JC and I were going to kind of talk about this, the new structure of the college football playoff, JB, but and I put it in the little private chat, but like, how excited are you going to be for this, what I think is stupid as hell, SEC Big Ten challenge? Like, are you going to pack the family up and head to Seattle to go watch an away game against Washington? Like, it sounds fun.
Great question.
I mean, if you're also staring down what could be 5 figures to watch your team, in the postseason, are you going to chuck out? I mean, what's another few grand? It's ridiculous. I think that is absolutely asinine. And I would hope that they wouldn't agree to it, although it looks like it may be a foregone conclusion. But I don't know. That is the most disturbing thing to me. I also don't like the 4 automatic qualifiers. I get it. You're trying to, make sure and preserve the conference championships as having some sort of meaning. But I mean, the SEC championship is not going to mean any less if the person who wins it isn't guaranteed a spot in the playoff. Like, now I realize that would be some extreme circumstances because you're going to be ranked highly anyway at that point. But I mean, I don't know. I guess that's what we get for existing in the richest conference and not in one of the poverty or Group 5 conferences.
Yeah, I haven't digested all of it. And by the way, something I'm going to do this week is rank what would be my personal list of road trips in the Big Ten from worst to first.
All right.
Okay. Of where I would go. So there's a lot of towns and cities in the Big Ten that I would love to go watch a game in if the Gamecocks were playing there. And then there's some where I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But being a college football fan, I like to see them all at some point in time just because I love it. But I haven't digested all of it yet. I'm look, as much of an SEC guy as I am, and we obviously collectively as a group, our network, everything is geared and shifted towards the SEC, and it is the strongest league in the country. We know all those things. So all that being said, I'm still not like really. There were problems this year. Teams that got in that maybe shouldn't be in, and teams that didn't get in that should have been. I firmly believe South Carolina deserved to be in there. I firmly believe that. Firmly believe that South Carolina deserved to be in there. I will not change my stance on that. But at the same time, like, I'm not huge on forcing this down college football's throat either, because things always change. You go back in time, and you go back and whatever they do, it'll end up probably changing again. But you go back in time and look at who used to be in what league, and how good this league used to be, and how good that league used to be, et cetera, et cetera. Like, things do evolve, and I do want the health of the sport to be the most important thing, not just the Southeastern Conference. And I'm an SEC guy, but I also believe in the fact that I want the entire sport to be there. I am fearful. I'm a little on the other end of this than our buddy Mike Morgan. Mike is like the ultimate football guy. I am very fearful if there was a G5 playoff, Phil, while a lot of money would be thrown at it, and it certainly, I think, would probably benefit those teams more financially more than things do now, I don't think it would be very well watched. And I know that people say, well, it's football. Look, man, we just saw a national championship that had under 30 million viewers with two of the biggest brands in the sport. The Super Bowl had 130 million watch it.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's
so you picking up what I'm putting down
right?
here? I mean, like,
yeah, no, I get that. Yeah.
How are you going to try to convince the general public? And I'm not meaning this disrespectfully at all. I'm on their side. I'm not meaning this disrespectfully to the AAC or the Mountain West or anything like that. I really, truly don't. But I'm just trying to figure out, if you're not a diehard college football fan like me or you or Bruin, or I'm just naming people in our chat box here, Mike Morgan, whoever, how are you going to convince, aside from betting, how are you going to convince the general public that this is worthy of watching? What are the numbers for the Division II championship between North Dakota State and South Dakota State or Montana State? That's really good football, I might add.
Yeah. I was just that's exactly where I was going to go with that. Is like, well, what's the popularity of the D2 championship? And it doesn't get near as many viewers. I mean, if dollars are driving this train these days, and 80% of the decisions, I would say, that are made in college football today, plus, are being driven by money, then yeah, maybe so. Well, yeah, with any of the restructuring and all of that, you're definitely right. That is all being driven by money. But yeah, and that's my one kind of cause for pause, right, when it comes to a G5 playoff, because I am a proponent of that. I like that. I think that you could market that in such a way that it would get. I mean, you're not going to get national championship viewership, but you may be able to do it in such a fashion and on certain days and times where you could maximize that. But there again, I mean, it's another, I don't know, distraction. Like, you got a lot going on. You've got the college basketball season that starts way too early. That's already, 10 games in by the time the playoffs roll around. But the other side of that is, I cannot, in recent memory, think of any, and I typically don't like to use absolutes, group of 5 team that could have won a championship against whoever won the national championship in that same year, including the stupid UCF teams that claim that they have one. Like, you you can't, they just don't have the resource, especially in today's day and age, when
Well,
it is how much resources can you throw at this? That's what really drives it. I mean, can you compete not just on the field, but can you compete off the field to facilitate you competing on the field? And these schools just don't have that.
yeah, and you're not wrong about that. And so let me say this too, because you're right. There's no complaints there. Everybody knows that. That all comes in time. And so these leagues and their commissioners and their presidents and their athletics departments, they're going to argue that if we have the ability to step up onto the playing field, when that money trickles down, we will be able to do things like you take Boise State. They were in there. Okay. Maybe in 3 or 4 or 5 years after they've got enough of those checks and they can pay more to players to come play at Boise as opposed to going somewhere else. They've got some tradition built up. I'm not saying that it's 100% true. I'm saying that's going to be their argument, is saying don't slam the door in our face because things change. Times change. We are able – I mean, SMU last year was not in a power league. I mean, they were, but I mean, just a couple of years ago, SMU got the death penalty.
Right.
We're 40 something years removed from that, and they were just in the first annual 12-team college football playoff. And so these teams are going to be going, look, with all the money being thrown around, if you give us a chance with that money, maybe we can get there. I'm going to say something that's very unpopular. Very, very, very unpopular. And I'm not saying it's the route that needs to be driven or flown or whatever you want to call it, Phil. But in the eyes of the entire sport, not just in the eyes of the SEC or the Big Ten, and we all know they have the power because they have the money, but not just in those eyeballs, in the eyes of the entire sport, if collectively, if they wanted to like really say, let's make this an inclusive Craig, you're right. They paid their own way to the ACC. I know that, but what I'm just saying, what if Elon Musk came along and was like, I'm going to give Sam Houston State $1 billion, and they want to enter the Big Ten, and they don't need any money from TV contracts. You know what I'm saying? Like these things can continue to happen. So that's my point. You're making my point, helping make my point for me. But if you want to say SEC, Big Ten, y'all get 4 at minimum, this league gets 2, this league gets 2, whatever, then they need to just open the thing up to a 24-team playoff, Phil, and allow all of these leagues and their champion to get in. And you know what? In the first round, if Georgia's the number 1 overall seed and they draw the Marshall Thundering Herd who won the Sun Belt and they beat the crap out of them, they beat the crap out of them. But you know what? At least they represented the league. And then as you get to rounds 2, 3, and 4, all that, is gone and it trickles down and it's out. And then all the big dogs are left. And then in 10, 15 years, you look up and who knows? Maybe Marshall's a part of the Big Ten because they've earned so much money by being in 6 of the last 10 college football playoffs through winning the Sun Belt. They're a player in the Big Ten all of a sudden. All of a sudden, West Virginia is not very good and Marshall's really, really good. I'm just saying, like, a lot of the things that we talk about, everybody has this mindset of right now, today, right now. What is the situation now? This is what we want because this is where we are right now. And there's no forethought into what could be. Now, I'm not saying what I just said is the right answer. That's not what I'm getting at. It might be the exact wrong answer. But all I'm getting at, to your point that you brought up earlier, is if we're just going to, give the SEC 4 and 5, there might be a year the SEC doesn't deserve 4 teams. That could happen. Right. I don't think it will, but it could.
No, same with the Big Ten. And I mean,
there might be a year the ACC deserves 4 teams. I don't know. Not in the near future, but it could be the case in 5 years. No. And all of a sudden, we're going to be looking at this and everybody's going to be hating on the SEC going, Kentucky got in because they're the 4th best team in the league. The 3rd best team in the ACC beat the crap out of them by 40 points, and they can't get in because they're relegated to 2. What are we doing here? And guess what? They're going to want to come back and change this thing again. That's going to happen somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think, and that's one of the things I don't agree with. It was like, well, I mean, yes, if you're looking at it honestly, then there are two conferences in football that stand above the rest. Period. End of statement. But for postseason consideration, I don't think your conference affiliation should have anything to do with whether or not you get into a playoff. What should is how good a team are you? And it's Notre Dame is really what's kind of throwing things in, is throwing a wrench into this, because you could set up a broad expanded playoff with automatic qualifiers for the Power Four, but you have to carve out a space for this one team who is just staunchly independent and falls back on tradition in a time when tradition doesn't mean anything in the sport anymore, when it comes to alignment and playoffs and all of that. In a time of change, this one school is tradition, independent, and until there is some sort of penalty for them operating outside of what is the norm in the sport, then you're always going to have to make a carve out for them. So there you go. You expand the playoffs, you give automatic qualifiers to the top four conferences, and then you might as well just say, well, Notre Dame gets in every year because they have to be included in the current system. They get as much of a vote as a single school as entire conferences do.
Right.
It's absolutely ridiculous. I get it. You have a long, rich tradition in history of football at Notre Dame, but so far as the current game is concerned, it means nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting couple of weeks, but I think we all know what's coming. So
yeah.
Well, I'm sorry we lied to all of you. Hale, I know Hale's got a sick kid at home, so he might have caught up with that.
There were moving pieces in the background. Yeah,
we certainly hope that she's okay. For all of you who are sick, hope you feel better, like your wife.
I know. Yeah, let's hope.
We will rank. I'm going to rank them tomorrow. Where would I want to go? Where would I not want to go in the Big Ten as part of this SEC Big Ten deal if it gets done, which it's good. Also, speaking of rankings, we'll talk about this tomorrow as well. On3 has their 10 worst officiating calls of the year. Number 1 is the non-targeting call between Texas and Arizona State in the playoffs. That's number 1. Any guess as to what number 2 is?
Oh, something tells me we're going to have to think about Carolina LSU again.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know what, though? I bet they picked the wrong one. At least in my opinion. Because the more egregious one was the phantom offensive pass interference.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, that was, for me, that was mine.
We'll talk about it. It'll be a wonderful, wacky Wednesday tomorrow. We'll also have some baseball and softball to talk about. Now, a top 25 ranked softball team hosts North Carolina tonight. Gamecocks on the road at 4 o'clock today at Winthrop, looking to improve to 4-0 in Paul Maneri's first season. Of course, you got hoops tonight at 9 o'clock as well. Mike Morgan will be on that call, and Derek and Casey have it beginning at 8:30. Pull up your Gamecocks app. Download the Gamecocks app. Tired of people asking about streams and this. Download the Gamecocks app. Every one of them are there for every sport. It's very easy. It's free. Download the Gamecocks app.
It is. It's a button you push. Listen live. You don't even need to know affiliates or anything like that. Yeah. Right there. Listen live.
There you go. Listen live. Download the Gamecocks app. Just like you should download the Chief Sports app. It's very easy. We do everything we can for you. All right. Thanks to Alex and John Strickland for joining us earlier. Always great to see all of you. Have a terrific Tuesday. Get ready for some snow, some of you. It's coming back to the Palmetto State. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 on Inside the Gamecocks, the morning show built by the Barn Co. and presented by Resto Pros.